Game week 6 is proven to be a very popular week for wildcarding. Should you join the masses? Join us now for Fantasy Premier League, the D in its journey. Me and Alan are back. Alan, how are you?
Do you know what? I'm really good, but I think that you're probably very tired because right now we are filming this and Darius has set his alarm clock to get up and do this, and he set it wrong. He set it so he woke up at 12:40 in the morning, and he should have been setting it for 1:40 in the morning. So here we are doing this right now at like 20 to 2 UK time in the morning. But I'm really, really good. How are you, Darius?
Yeah, well, look, I'm not too bad, to be fair. Obviously, I'm a little bit tired, but other than that, I'm pretty good. So, look, last week was a return to form for the both of us. So, I suppose what better place to start than how you went last week, Alan? How'd your team go?
Well, do you know what? The team last week went how I would have hoped all my teams had gone the previous week. So I got 71 points. Brighton did let me down, but I have got a green arrow. I mean, for this week, I'm up 1 million in terms of the world places. So I'm currently 4.3 million in the world. In our league, I'm only up one place. So I'm up to 14th. But that's 303 points so far for the season. So look, it's about little incremental changes that will get you green flags every single week, green arrows every single week. And this is the week that hopefully will be the turning point for me.
Nah, fair, fair. That's yeah. What can I say about that? Your score last week, I was sitting there watching the first game and Chelsea, and I was like going, and I kept on asking you about that Nicholas Jackson pick, and I tell you what, I was eating my words during that Chelsea game. Nicholas Jackson repaid the faith.
Well, look, we spoke about it. I mean, we spoke about differentials. I was very close to actually transferring him out last week to go to a Wood. The Fantasy Football Hub said transfer out Jackson for Wood. Yes, Wood got a return. He got the penalty. But look, I think this game is about having fun and it's about enjoying it. And my gut feeling was Jackson's going to get some returns. He's a differential. And do you know what? Last week, it paid off for me because he got 2 goals, he got an assist, and that's 16 points. And it was massive for me. And I really needed it for my team. So anyone else who had Jackson last week, shout out to you because it was great FPL management.
It was. I don't actually think anyone else in our league had Nicholas Jackson, so I think you were one of one to reap in those 16 points, and it was brilliant to start. I actually thought that there was no way that you weren't going to top score last week after that, but somehow my team, I'm just going to pull it up now for everyone to have a look at, my team actually got more. I don't actually know how I beat your score. I didn't have anyone get 16 points.
Let's have a look at this team then. Let's have a look at this team. Bring it up so I can analyse it, because I think that it was a really high scoring week, wasn't it, for people? Like there was a lot of players that got returns last week. I can't quite see your team at the moment. Have you got it up?
I do now. You should be able to see it. Yes.
I can't see it yet, but I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to jump on my FPL and I'm gonna have a look at yours, just to give you a little bit of feedback on it. But I think that in terms of your team last week, you had some really standout performers. So
I did.
Trent, for example. Trent came through for you. Trent was somebody that we know has attacking returns. I think last week he got his sort of first proper points that we would expect from him. Henderson, who actually you were banging on about getting rid of.
He's gone, mate. I've got rid of him.
Well, you got rid of him, but I tell you what, last week you got your 9 points. So, what can you say about that? Woody Woodpecker, who I've been banging on about for the last few weeks. I said, look, he's a solid pig. He's a differential. What do? He went and got you 8 points. He done the penalty. So we know he's on penalties now, which is great. He got you 9 points. Mo Salah, the captain, we both spoke about that. He's solid. He's FPL solid. Like, he's so proven in FPL. Yes, it wasn't as much as maybe Haaland, but do you know what? He came through, 12 points. Rodgers. We've spoken about Rodgers. he is somebody that has had so many chances, he just hasn't capitalised on them. But this last week he did. So 10 points for Rodgers, fantastic. Haaland, we spoke about this. He's in such good form at the moment. We didn't captain him, which was maybe in hindsight not the best move. But do you know what? 9 points. But I think the standout for you, there's two things. And that's Smith Rowe, who I took out of my team, that I said was, again, a differential. He's somebody that can make things happen, which he has done for your team. And Watkins, Watkins, I said last week, he probably wouldn't do anything this week. I was wrong. I'll eat my hat. But, he came through for you, 6 points, So I think your team in general was pretty solid. Yeah, there was a couple of bits in defence, but in general, it was pretty good.
I know, it was really interesting. So, as I said, I couldn't believe that you didn't actually outscore me, especially when you had Nicholas Jackson in the team. But, I only had 3 players in my team not actually deliver points. The one blessing that I did have, and Woody Woodpecker, I don't know how, he's delivered in 3 games for me. And I've just been, on the weekend was just pure luck. I had Diego Jota on the field, and I was sitting there going, this reeks of Arnie Slot bringing him on in the 89th minute and get me 1 point. And I was like, don't bring that bastard on. Leave him on the bench. I don't want him on. And Arnie Slot, he either has FPL and he had Jota in his team. He goes, I don't want the 1 point. But he did all the managers out there a massive favour. So that way, Woody, who was sitting first on the bench, got his ass on the field and gave me the point. So, look, that was brilliant for me. I actually couldn't believe. I was watching that Nottingham Forest game and I saw the penalty and I was like, Morgan Gibbs-White's the penalty taker, because I was like, oh, Chris Wood will take it. And I was like, oh, no, he won't. He never took him last year. And then when he picked up the ball, I was like, come on.
Yeah, come on. I mean, look, I've been going a lot about Wood for a while. I think that, I've had a lot of faith in Wood, and he was great last season, and he's just somebody who's just a safe pair of hands. And now he's on penalties. I think he's a great choice for people. So, Woody Woodpecker, I'm really glad that you didn't take him out. And actually, you're lucky that Jota didn't get points. So.
Very lucky, very lucky. Now, look, as I said last week, Chris Wood is still in the firing line for me. I'm not convinced. Lots of people are bringing him in on wildcard this week. And I don't know, man, he's 32 years old. I think he's turning 33. He's New Zealander. I don't know how he's scoring so many goals, but look, he's actually got an unbelievable record under Nuno since Nuno came in at Nottingham Forest. So maybe I just need to have a bit more faith like everyone else that seems to be bringing him in. But look, I want to quickly address this because obviously lots of people are wildcarding. Now, as we know, Alan played his wildcard last week, game week 4, because he needed to bring in Haaland. But lots of people are bringing him in this week. And look, I seriously contemplated whether to play the wild card because for me, I can see that the Arsenal change of fixtures are really good. And we'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later on. And there are some other players, especially Brentford, their lineup of fixtures really turns now as well, and they go on a really good run as well. But I have already used my 2 free transfers, and I am resisting the urge to use my wild card. Now, I'm just going to quickly flick it over to the screen so everyone can see. So this is essentially me and Alan's teams at the moment and what we would do if we were wild carding this week. So I'm just going to quickly whack that on the screen, and then I'm going to share it with Alan, so hopefully he can see it as well. So just bear with me, everyone, while I quickly do this. And there we go. Display capture. You should be able to see that, Alan. Can you see that?
I can see it, but I'll tell you what, I might need some binoculars. That is incredibly small, but I'll tell you what, maybe when you're doing it on YouTube, people can see it a bit clearer. But okay.
Talk us through what you do first, Alan. So I'll flick it over to you. So your team obviously looks very different to mine, but you've gone with very similar players to I have.
Okay, so is Eze in my team? Just confirm.
Yes, he is, because I used the one where you could afford all your players. So Luis Diaz is not in your team.
All right. Okay. Well, look. Okay. So in terms of my wildcard team, if you're wildcarding this week, if I was wildcarding this week, I would go with Raya in goal. I think he's definitely the first choice in terms of goalie. I think he's a cheap way into the Arsenal defence. He's made incredible saves. I think he's got great fixtures. And do you know what? He's got Ipswich and he's got Leicester coming up. So he needs to be the definite one for goalkeepers. In defence, I've got Trent. His attacking returns are amazing. He's had 13 key passes. I think, a few weeks ago he had a goal disallowed, but he's had his first attacking return last week. So I think that Trent is definitely somebody you want to get in your team. Arsenal defence, we've spoken about. It's so solid. It's better than the Liverpool defence. Gabriel would be my defender. He scored against Spurs, and he's great from set pieces. So he's somebody that I would want. A slightly cheaper defender at 4.5, I'd go for Colwell for Chelsea. So, Colwell for Colwell for me, he seems nailed. I think that Chelsea's defence hasn't been bad, and the next two fixtures are good. The next one is an absolute must. It's Saka in midfield. I mean, the fixtures, I said it before when we had our last podcast, this is the time to jump on your Arsenal people, your Arsenal players. Week 6, they've got great fixtures. His attacking returns are amazing. He's always involved in goals. If he's not scoring, he's involved in goals and an assist. You need to have Saka. Diaz for Liverpool will be another one in midfield. He had a fantastic game last week against Bournemouth. I mean, he's in the form of his career. He's playing with confidence. He got a couple of goals, I think, last week. I mean, you need to put him in. The next one would be Mbeumo. Now, I've been talking about Mbeumo for the last few videos we've done. And, I've said, look, Tony's not there. Wissa's injured. This guy is going to be a penalty taker. I think that he can add to the absence of having Tony and Wissa. I think that this is his time to shine. He's got a great opportunity against West Ham. Chelsea absolutely destroyed West Ham at the weekend. So I think Mbeumo could get a few points. I think Mbeumo could get a few points this week. The next one is another player that I've been talking about. Look, Semedo in midfield. I've been speaking about him for weeks. He is looking great. He is literally leading the table for shots. I mean, he's 24 shots and 2 goals. This guy is such a buy. You need to get him into your team. I'm going to transfer him in this week. He's going to be in my team for sure. Going on to the forwards, Haaland, it has to be the captain. He's in the form of his life. He's on a 4.83 XG. He's got 9 goals in 4 games. He's got a dream run-up coming. We spoke about this in terms of, do you captain him, do you not? I mean, look, he's a permanent captain for me. You can't bet against him. Coming up next in forward, Solanke. Now, this is somebody you said his level was a Bournemouth. He got his first goal last week. He's getting chances. He needs to convert them. I think that this season will be the test for him, but I think that he is a good option as a forward. The next one is the Woody Woodpecker baby. I talked about him. I've been talking about him for weeks. I've said it from the start. Look, he scored again at the weekend. He's reliable. He's clinical. And do you know what we've seen from last week? He's on pens. So that's a great shot. Now, moving on to the bench, I went with Slicker as the goalie. I think he's a good £4 million goalie. Rodgers in midfield. Great results. Last week he got 2 assists. Marino in defence, he's a solid player. He's just signed for Forest, and we spoke about this last week. Forest have one of the best defences in the league, and I think that he's a good offset against Colwell. He's a bargain at 4.4. When Colwell has a tricky fixture, swap him out for Marino, and again in defence, Van der Berg. 4 million for a defender. He looks like he's going to get some good minutes. I mean, Brentford have some good fixtures coming up. Sorry, just to go back a bit, I did talk about Diaz, and I said how amazing he is. In my team, unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to bring him in. I'd have to have Eze, and obviously, I'm going to go with Eze because I'm a Crystal Palace supporter. I love Eze, but if you've got the money in the bank and you're not a Crystal Palace supporter, you need to go with Diaz.
No, fair. I like it. I like the team. Now,
How do you feel about all that D unit?
Look, the one question I've got, I actually think your team's really good, and I saw one that Tom put up, and I'm sure that Tom's got his wildcard active, which is why he deleted his team from our chat after he posted it up, and he had very similar players. Now, the one player that I will make mention that you've got on your bench, Alex Moreno, I think, and I can see you've got 0.3 million still in the bank. I would actually not pick him because it looks like he's starting behind Aina from Forest. So I would actually pick Aina for the extra 0.1 mil over Moreno. But other than that, I don't mind it. And I'd probably get rid of Eze, and I'm not sure who I'd get instead. In fact, I'd probably go with what I've done. So I've actually got quite a bit in the bank. But yeah, so look, the reason why I'm not playing my wild card is because I've actually used my 2 free transfers this week on getting rid of Henderson. As I said, he had his one result and he's gone. I just can't trust that Crystal Palace defence, because I tell you what, if they were playing anyone else other than Man United, they would have lost that game comfortably. They're just very lucky that Man United don't know how to finish.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I mean, look, I'm a Palace supporter, but I think Henderson has to go. I mean, in terms of goalkeepers, you've got a few options, and definitely Henderson is not top of the list.
Yeah, and look, so David Ray is in for me this week. And the other change I made as well, Diogo Jota, look, I just want to talk about this now as well. If you have players that are playing in a team that has European commitments, you need to be 100% certain they're going to be starting. And Diogo Jota, unfortunately, no longer fits into that boat. Now, the main reason why I haven't gone with Luis Diaz instead of Saka in this team, mainly because of the fact that Saka's got a really good 3 next fixtures, but Luis Diaz, I reckon, is also a fixture risk. Now, I wouldn't be surprised that in the next 4 game weeks, we see Luis Diaz start on the bench. Because I think Arnie Slaughter's on record saying that, the only reason why Luis Diaz started after the international break is because he looked fitter than Cody Gakpo. And I actually think that Cody Gakpo is the person he really wants to be starting. So as soon as Luis Diaz gets a rest, and if Cody Gakpo does well, I can see a world where Luis Diaz isn't actually starting every game. And I know lots of people are hopefully going to be saying you're wrong, because 700,000 people have transferred him in this week, and he is the top scoring midfielder in the league. But that's the caveat I've got. And so, the main reason why I've gone with my midfield and these blokes is because of the fact that I am 100% certain that they will be playing almost 90 minutes every game week. And I think that maximises your chance to get points and returns. And that's why I've gone with the 5 midfield that I would select in this team. And that'd be Rodgers, Saka, Mbembo, Semenyo, and McNeil. Now, the only reason why I've got Semenyo in, and I did wonder about just keeping Ahmad in there instead of him, is because Semenyo's game this week is really good. They've got Southampton at home. Yep. If he doesn't score this week...
That's the fixture. The fixture.
You'd be gutted. But his next 3 games after this week, I don't want him. I'm not wildcarding, so I won't be bringing him in. But I tell you what, when I am thinking about wildcarding, which is what I'm telling people to do now, don't play it in game week 6. You want to play it in game week 12. Now, in game week 12, Bournemouth's fixtures take a real good upwards turn, which means Semenyo is definitely in my plans for that. And the 2 other teams, and you've alluded to one of them before, Alan, Chelsea's fixtures from game week 12 look absolutely delicious. And Cole Palmer is definitely at the forefront of my thinking around that time. And Brighton's fixtures. Have a look at Brighton in game week 12. They also have a massive fixture turn, and they've got a really good run going forward as well. So I am hoping at this point to just hold on to my wild card, provided I don't get heaps of injuries in one game week coming up, and hold it to game week 12 and use it then, because I really like the different turn of fixtures in it, and lots of people are using it now, which means that hopefully I'll be able to milk it and really change my team to get in front of the curve in game week 12. That's my plans anyway.
Yeah, I think that sounds good. I mean, some other things just to throw in there, if we're talking about wild cards and things for this week, I think that people could look at Sanchez. I think Sanchez in goal against Brighton could be a good option. We spoke about Gabriel for me. Robertson, he's solid in defence for Liverpool. We spoke about the Liverpool defence. We spoke about Colwell for Chelsea, but also you've got Gusto. Gusto could be a good option. Saka, we know, is a definite must. But you spoke about Palmer, and I think Palmer could be another person you bring in. I spoke about Eze. Eze definitely. Mbomo, we both agreed. Semedo, we both agreed. Haaland, definitely up front. And Wood, definitely up front. And in terms of your bench, you need to free up money. I think that, having that Van der Vaart, I think he's solid. I think he's got minutes. I think that maybe Greaves for Ipswich, he's a cheap option, and Stewart as well could be an option. But look, part of this game is about making up your own mind and thinking about, doing the eye test, watching the games and who you think is going to get you good returns.
100%. Now, look, the other caveat I've got as well now, the reason why I'm also not playing my wildcard, as you can see in my team there, I've only actually made that I could think of 100% I wanted to get rid of was 7 players. Now, when we look at your wildcard that you created, you've changed 12 of the 15 players. So if you are going to wildcard, you really need to maximize in your head where you're going to go. And hopefully Alan will be able to hear this shortly. He's having a few audio issues at the moment, but I'm perfectly fine. But look, the main thing you've got to worry about is, the way players are playing. Now, I've also gone with 2 Manchester United defenders. Now, the reason why I've gone with 2 Manchester United defenders is because their run is looking really good. And as we've seen over the last couple of weeks, especially since the start of the season, Manchester United are starting to keep clean sheets. Now, Mazraoui is in this team, in my wildcard team, because of the fact that at the moment he's in. Luke Shaw and Malacia are not coming back into the team. They're both still on the injury table, which means that he's got a free run on the team, and so is Dallo. So Dallo's in because he's got the creative chances. But Mazraoui, whenever United keep a clean sheet, that dude does not give the ball away. So his passing completion rate is so high for 4.6 million. He's actually got so many bonus points already. So again, that's what it comes down to. And I think that that's what you need to be keeping in mind, particularly when it comes to your defenders. Now, the other thing I'll note in my formation now, I've got actually 0.7 million still left in the bank in this team. And the idea behind it is that these players can then play, like, this team is a very rounded team. I could play a bench boost with this team and be pretty confident, other than the goalkeeper, of returns. So that also means I can change the formation depending on the fixtures per game week. Maybe I could play a 4-4-2 or a 3-4-3 or almost a 5-4-1 depending on the fixtures, because no player other than FaZe is a player that I wouldn't want on my team. And obviously I've got the McNeil in there for Everton. I've been banging on about Everton. They were disappointing on the weekend in terms of their returns, but I have faith that that man will deliver at 5.4 mil. Yeah, Alan's nodding his head.
No, I'm nodding my head because I'm just bored by Man United. That's why. I mean, I like Man United is so toilet. I mean, they literally drew against Palace. I mean, like, you know, Man United are a big club. I mean, I hate to say it, but you listen to Gary Neville and all you hear is United. You know, like, since Alex Ferguson left, what have they done? Nothing. They're useless. Last season, they scored the lowest amount of goals. Like, I don't know why they didn't sign Tony. I don't know why they haven't got a striker they can bang goals in. I mean, they make a lot of chances, but they just don't make any goals. I mean, you know, they're pathetic.
Well, you did right, Alan. Look, it was hard to watch. Man United, obviously, they just needed someone that could put the goals in, because so many went begging on the weekend. That first half was one-way traffic, and Dean Henderson didn't really make a good save. Anana actually made the better save. It's just they kept on hitting.
Well, look, that's why you got your 9 points. That's why you got your 9 points, because you saved all your shots. You know, you need to get a striker. How many times do we need to talk about it? Last season, you know, you were the lowest scoring in terms of, like, the teams. I mean, you're Man United. You're a big club. Like, it's, you know, you need to get a sort of striking out. That's it. I mean, you said the thing about Anthony, didn't you? You said that the Man City goalie had more things than Anthony. I mean, it's a joke.
It is. Now, look, we're going to quickly get on to the fixtures, just cover them, see what everyone missed. Obviously, as we talked about earlier, Alan enjoyed Nicholas Jackson's 2 goals and an assist against West Ham. Cole Palmer also scored in this game for his owners. And I'll put this here's some interesting trivia for you, Alan. Jadon Sancho has 2 appearances for Chelsea for 2 assists.
Fantastic. So what are we talking about? The West Ham Chelsea game?
Yeah. How shit are West Ham, by the way? They're crap.
Well, no, I think that, like I said before, it's an opportunity. We've seen that Chelsea dismantled them, at the weekend. I think that it was a good result for Chelsea. I think they kept a clean sheet. Jackson got 2 goals and assist. It was what Chelsea needed, and it sort of exposed West Ham in terms of defence.
Sanchez got 7 saves again. Like, Chelsea are still conceding shots, so that's not promising if you own Chelsea defenders. But the good news is that somehow Sanchez is keeping them out. So great stuff for his owners.
Well, look, Sanchez is a good keeper. I mean, he was at Brighton. He was a good keeper. That's why Chelsea bought him. I mean, I think he could be a good option on the wild card. Like I said earlier, he could be another differential. Sanchez is a good keeper.
Yep. Now, next game, Aston Villa came from behind in this game to win 3-1 against Wolves. Watkins got a goal, Konza got a goal, and Duran off the bench yet again scored another goal. And our man, Morgan Rogers, 2 assists. Fantastic.
Yeah, look, Aston Villa really upped their game in the second half. I think the Wolves couldn't cope. It was great for Watkins to get his first, get the first goal. The second, it was a great Watkins first goal. The second goal was fantastic. It was a ball in by Tiedemann, and Konza got on the end of it perfectly. And I was so pleased because I've had him in my team. Duran, he finished it off with 3rd. And, again, he's been somebody, Duran. His goal the other week was incredible. So to finish it off with 3rd, he's been great. And I think the Wolves are just missing. They're missing their key players. They're missing Neto. I think they're missing Kilman, and they really haven't replaced them. And that's why they're opened up at the back. Yeah,
no, that's fair. That's fair. Very good observations. Now, an interesting point here about the bonus point system. So on Saturday night, Morgan Rogers was only on 9 points, and Emile Smith-Rowe, who we'll get to in a little bit, was actually on 9 points as well. Now, on Sunday, they revised the bonus points to Morgan Rogers ended up going up to 10, and Emile Smith-Rowe ended up coming down to 8. Now, it didn't affect my overall score because I owned both players, but just an interesting note that the bonus point system this year is open to negotiation in between the rounds of fixtures up until the very last fixture on the Sunday night, or Monday night, depending on what game week it is.
Did Smith-Rowe get a yellow card?
Say it again?
Did Smith-Rowe get a yellow card?
I'm not sure. We'll have a look in a second. All right, for the next game, Fulham 3, Newcastle 1. And yellow cards. No, you didn't. No yellow card.
So Rogers got a yellow card. He got 2 assists in the yellow card.
That's right, yep.
So maybe that affected his points, I don't know.
Oh, no, Rogers, oh yeah, he did. But Rogers' bonus points actually went up. And Smith-Rowe went down. Makes no sense, right?
Makes no sense.
So, look, Fulham 3-1 against Newcastle now. Newcastle got a consolation through Barnes. Again, Barnes scored again, so that's good for him. And honestly, Jacob Murphy, since I got rid of him, I'm glad I got rid of him, but he has now got a couple of assists since I got rid of him. So, shout out to the man. He just didn't do it when he had it in my team. Someone else that's got an assist in this game that was interesting was Muniz. So Muniz came off the bench and got an assist, but I think the ship sailed in that one. If you haven't got rid of him, he's now dropped down to 5.9 million. So unlucky if you've kept him because you should have got rid of him.
Yeah, I mean, look, we spoke about this. I think that Isaac, he was fit to play. We know that he got a ball to the face and he had blurred vision and stuff, but he was marked fit to play, and it was his 25th birthday, and he played the game. Jimenez was great, 2 in 2 for him for the Mexican. I mean, we spoke about this with Muniz and Jimenez, and we said, I said, I don't know if you joined in it, but if Jimenez was getting minutes, then it was marked for Muniz, and for him to get 2 in 2, that's just done him because he wasn't capitalising on the chances. So that's why he's gone down in price. I mean, Smith-Rowe was brilliant. It was a club record signing for them to get him, and it's paying off now. Let's hope that he doesn't get injured and it continues. And as for Newcastle, look, Barnes again scored third in a row. He's in great form. I really like Barnes. I've said it before. I think you did as well. Barnes is an incredible player. We spoke about wildcards and fitting in teams and things like that, but Barnes is a great player. If you're brave and you can find a space, get him in.
Yeah, no, 100%. Now, on to the next game. This was a disappointing game because if anyone owned any players in these particular teams, they disappointed. So there was no clean sheet. It was a 1-1 draw between Leicester and Everton. I think that's all that needs to be said. No forward players that anyone owns delivered. So it was a pretty shit game.
Yeah, look, Everton have had a shocking start to the season. That's it. That's all I need to say about that.
I suppose, in fairness, they didn't concede 3 goals, so it's a slight improvement.
Well, look, you look at it, it feels like a relegation match against Leicester and Everton.
It was.
That's what it felt like.
Next game, Liverpool 3-0 at home to Bournemouth. Luis Diaz with a double and Darwin Núñez with a bit of a worldie. The assists, though, were interesting. So Alexander-Arnold got an assist. At long last, he finally got an assist and a clean sheet. And Mo Salah was very lucky he got an assist because Darwin Núñez did all the work in that goal. But Mo Salah was the last one to touch it before Núñez belted it into the back of the net.
Yeah, look, I think Liverpool looked great. I mean, we knew that they would have a good result. And I think it was a great response after the Forest last week. Samaya owners were lucky that Samaya owners, I think, were lucky that his goal was disallowed for offside. But you can see that he's in form at the moment.
Yes.
You can see it. That's why I'm saying you need to get him in your wild card. Luis Diaz, look, fantastic. The control that he had and the turn on the first goal just shows how dangerous he is. He got a second in 2 minutes. It was through the legs of Kepa. He was in the right place. And then, look, Núñez, he turned up with a long-range shot. I mean, it was his first goal under the new manager. He could have had a second. It was cleared off the line. And I think, Kelleher probably saved Trent owners. He probably saved you with that scoop off the line, right?
Yep, he did. On to the next game. We have, this was an interesting game. Southampton conceded super late. So anyone with Harlan Bellis playing him on field was desperately unlucky because they conceded very late to a Morsey goal from Ipswich. But Tyler Dibbling, 4.5 million option in midfield, Alan. He scored, 18 years old. He's getting games. Is he worth a look?
I think he is definitely worth a look. I mean, Dibbling is great. I mean, he's young. You've got lots of potential with that. I just think, look, in terms of an overview of this game, Southampton can see it out. They could not see the game out. And that's why, at the moment, they're the easy fixture. That's why Bournemouth against them next week or this Saturday coming, that's the fixture. And that's for every team. Any team that's playing Southampton, that's the fixture. That's where you want to be captaining people. That's where your points are. Because at the moment, they're not looking good.
Yep. Now, the next game, Spurs 3-1 with Brentford visiting. And Mbeumo scored the only goal for Brentford. And then it was the Tottenham show. So Solanke finally got off the mark for Tottenham. So great for the believers that have had him in. But not many people had him in yet because obviously he did have that injury to start the season. But he could potentially be an option. He had 4 big sort of chances in that game with an expected goals which were quite high. The underlying stats behind Solanke look good, but that was also because James Maddison played really well. Now, James Maddison got a goal and an assist in this game, and Tottenham's run, and we'll have a look at fixture runs coming up, he's actually someone that you could actually go instead of Saka in midfield because Tottenham's next 6 or 7 fixtures are looking really good, and James Maddison, when he's in form, delivers points. So I'm surprised not more people are bringing him in because if he's got a goal and assist and Tottenham's run is starting to look good, you couldn't go too far wrong with maybe bringing James Maddison in.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that, Solanke got his first goal. He needed to get off the mark. We've been talking about this. You said that his sort of level is Bournemouth, but, he got off the mark with his first goal. Maddison was by far the best player on the pitch. I mean, Tottenham have started off this season really poorly. They could have had more than 3 goals. They could have had a few more goals. They could have had probably 3 goals. And I think that Maddison is a differential. He's a solid player. He's proven. I think we spoke about Saka and we spoke about the other midfield players, Diaz and all those. But you know what? If you want to back Maddison, if you're a Tottenham supporter or you want a differential, go for Maddison because he played so well in that game. If it wasn't for him, it would have been a very different result for Tottenham, I think.
Yeah, no, very fair, very fair. Now, look, on to the next game really quickly. Not much has to be said here other than the fact that all the defenders gained all the bonus points. Crystal Palace 0, Man United 0. That's all we need to be said. On to Brighton.
No, that's not all. There's no. No. That's not all that needs to be said. Let me say a few things, right? I would just like to point out, Darius, right, that Palace done the double against you last season, right? And one of which was a 4-0 spanking at Selhurst Park. Do you remember that?
Yeah, well, it should have been 4-0 to us on the weekend. It's just no one could finish the bloody goals.
Well, look, exactly. Garnacho and Fernandes, they both hit the woodwork. Garnacho was great. Henderson was great for Palace. I think the Man United performance, do you know what? It pains me to say, but was good. But do you know what? A decent performance doesn't get you points. Yeah, you need to put the ball in the back of the net, which they couldn't do. So it's the same problem that United had last season. They were the joint lowest in the Premier League. They should have signed Tony. They need a striker. It's all well good performing great, but if you don't put the ball in the back of the net, you're toilet.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I said that in my Man United pod. Just the lack of ability to finish goals is going to kill that team. And yeah, look, I apologise to anyone that listened to my advice last week about bringing in Manchester United assets. Marcus Rashford started on the bench, which was very disappointing, so apologies for that. And Garnacho and Ahmad created chances and Garnacho hit the post, but simply, quite frankly, not good enough. And Bruno Fernandes, that is your worst game I've seen you play. He gave away the ball 34 times and was just distinctly average, so apologies. Now, on to the next game. Brighton against Nottingham Forest. This game was interesting. Woody Woodpecker scored, and then Forest had a player sent off, and then Hinselwood and Welbeck scored. Matoma got an assist. It was all happening in that game. It was a bit of everything, and lots of fantasy points to be had.
Yeah.
And then the last game of the round. Erling Haaland. If there's one thing in fantasy this year, Alan, it's that it's inevitable Haaland will score.
Well, look, it's exactly what I said it was going to be. I said that Haaland would get a return. I said that he would get points. He wasn't going to get those 2 or 3 goals, but he was definitely going to get something. He was going to definitely get a goal, which he did. It was unlucky. That there was a sending off for Trossard, but Arsenal really defended amazing. I mean, their defence is incredible. They defended all the way through to the end, but obviously when you're up against the best team in Europe, you're going to struggle. It's going to come through at some point. And I think it would have been a draw. It would have been probably a win for Arsenal, but they went down to 10 men and it ended up being a draw. And I thought Arsenal done amazing. Haaland done what we expected him to do to get a return, but do you know what? It just cemented what we already thought, which is Arsenal have a great defence.
Yeah, 100%. And look, David Raya made 9 saves in that game. So even though he conceded twice, he still ended up with 4 points, which is absolutely insane. Now, moving on to the top transfers in and top transfers out this week, Alan. So the top transfers in, the top 5 are Luis Diaz, Gabriel Mbembo, Nicholas Jackson, and David Raya. Any surprises there?
Yeah, I think that Jackson is no, there's no really surprises. I mean, Raya is definitely one that you want to have. Gabriel definitely in defence. Luis Diaz in midfield. I think Jackson is maybe a bit of a surprise. I think that's probably a bit of a knee-jerk because he got such a return that people think, yeah, get him in. But, Raya, Gabriel, Diaz, they're really good transfers. And also we spoke about this. This is the time that you want to get your Arsenal in, so...
100%. And look, the top transfers out, the top 5, Isaac from Newcastle, Diego Jota, so I was one of the people who got rid of him, João Pedro, Mo Salah and Eze. So the last two players is the ones that I want to talk about. So you've got both of them, Alan. Would you be getting rid of both of them?
Look, I mean, I've done my wildcard team. I think the thing is, with Salah, he's so much money. He's so much money that you could stick a Diaz in there. You could do other things in the midfield that, he takes up a lot of money. So that's probably why people are transferring him out. I think people are wildcarding, hence the reason transferring him out. In terms of Eze, again, it's somebody that you would probably transfer out to do the other sort of options we spoke about. You want to get them Saka's in. Saka's got a great Arsenal, and I think that people are looking to get Saka in. I think that people are probably also looking to be getting in Diaz. So if you want your Saka, if you want your Diaz, then you've got to get rid of Saka. There's nobody getting rid of Haaland at the moment, so you got to free up money. Saka's 10 mil, right? So you've got to get rid of Salah. That's why. What do you think?
100%. 100%. Now, look, I've just pulled up Liverpool's fixtures here at the moment. So, as you can see here, the reason why I'm keeping Mo Salah this week, and I'm not going to take any transfer points hits or whatever, even if Gabriel goes up in price again, I'm happy to wear the 0.1. I've factored it into my calculations for next week. But Wolves away. I still think Salah can potentially deliver us one more good game. And I believe, hopefully, he's going to get rested tonight in the Carabao Cup. And he should be hopefully nice and fresh for the weekend. And I'm backing him in. One more time, he's got my faith for one more week before I then make a decision. If he performs well this week, I might keep him for Crystal Palace. But if he doesn't, he's gone. As we can see there, the fixtures over the next 3 weeks after the Wolves game aren't the best. So there's Crystal Palace away, Chelsea at home, and Arsenal away. I'm not too keen on them. And then in the horizon after that, if we go down to game weeks 13 and 14, when I am thinking of playing my wild card, he definitely probably will be out of my team because they've got Man City in game week 13 and Newcastle away in game week 14. So look, that's where I'm going with that. I think it's quite reasonable, as I said before, with Luis Diaz as well with the Champions League. You could be worried about squad rotation, so which is why I haven't gone him, but I can understand why a lot of people have. He is the form midfielder in the team, and he did score a brace on the weekend, so very good points to note. Now, lots of people are jumping off the Fulham fixtures. I suppose the main reason why is after this week against Forest, they've got Man City, Aston Villa in the next 2 game weeks after that, which you would think are going to be quite difficult game weeks moving forward for Fulham assets. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, this next game week is not really the one for Fulham, I would say. But if you've got them, you want to hold on to certain people. You want to hold on to Smith Rose, I think. That's about it, really. I don't really have that much to say about Fulham. I mean, not the best team in the league, are they? So, if you've got Smith Rose, hold him, and that's about it.
Yep, no, that's fair. And look, let's have a quick look at the Tottenham fixture run. So this is what I was talking about before. This is Pedro Porro. At the moment, he's still in my team. However, I wasn't thinking about changing him to Gabriel, but now looking at the fixtures, I'm thinking that maybe he stays. I know Tottenham do concede the odd leaky goal every game, which means that he does have to get attacking returns to make this viable. But as we can see there, other than Man City in game week 12, he's got quite frankly, a fabulous run that's filled with lots of green over the next 10 weeks, pretty much.
Yeah, look, I mean, Podro was really good for last season. I mean, he's not done a lot this season, has he?
No, he hasn't.
I think the biggest thing with Tottenham is they need to finish, right? They need to get goals as well. I mean, looking at them at the weekend, they had lots of opportunities and they could have scored a lot of goals and they didn't. So, I think that really, in terms of defence, you don't really want to be looking at Tottenham. You want to be looking at Arsenal. You want to be looking at Nottingham Forest for cheap options, and Liverpool. That's what I think.
Yeah, no, 100%. Now, just quickly on to the FPL challenge for game week 5. It was the All-Americas team. I actually did rather well this week because I did pick Luis Diaz and he was my captain, and I ended up with 43 points, which put me in the top 211,000 teams for the game week. How did you go with your team, Alan, in the All-Americas?
Well, look, I think this FPL challenge thing is a load of toilet because I've done rubbish the last few weeks. I mean, it's just a bit of a joke, really. But I mean, look, in a way, you sort of want to offset it against your team. That's what I think. I mean, this week I've done all right. I got 33 points. Darwin come through for me. Diaz come through. I offset Diaz against Jar. Brighton again let me down. Martin was okay. Martinez, he got 3 points. But the FPL challenge, I think, is like a bit of a side game to offset against. I don't know if anyone else feels the same, but that's how I feel at the moment.
Yep, I think we're losing.
Yeah, so the next week's.
Oh, Alan's got some dodgy reception at the moment.
I do, yeah. It's sort of rain in England at the moment.
No, all good. We can hear you now.
Yeah, so look, I mean, if we want to talk about next week is all about the players. Fun fact, Onana is the only goalkeeper you can choose.
That's right.
He's the only African goalkeeper.
Yep, he is. Yeah, so look, in my team for the All-African one, I've gone Onana in goal because that's the only option. Then I've gone a 1-2-1 formation. So I've got Mazraoui in defence, Mbeumo and Mo Salah in my midfield with Mo Salah as my captain. And I've got Nicholas Jackson up top. So, yeah, that's my team for the All-Americas. Now, we're going to quickly go back to the leagues. So,
wait a minute. Can you choose your formation in challenge?
Yeah, just go down to the bottom and it says choose formation.
Well, I didn't know that, did I? Well, I'm going to have to change mine then, aren't I? All right, so everyone listening on the podcast and the YouTube, you can change it, your formation. Right, okay, fine. That's what I need.
All right, now on to our main league. Now, I'm just going to quickly provide the invite code for anyone that does want to join. The code to join our league is LDV6FK. So that's LDV6FK. I'll leave that in the notes as well, so anyone wants to join. Now, if we just quickly go back, I'm still on top. I actually increased my lead by 12 points on second place over the weekend. And Alan, as we can see there, has the green tick. He's up to 14th place, so he's making a move. He's only 76 points off the top now, so it's pretty good. Listen,
I'm representing all the people that didn't have Haaland. Yeah. I'm representing all the people that made bad choices. I'm gonna show you that you can bring it back, and I will beat you in this league, Darius.
Now, onto the head-to-head league. Alan, you recorded a big victory over the Dara, who had a really good week the week before, but you smashed him by 11 points.
Yeah. Well, I didn't really look at that, but that's great.
And I had the easiest matchup of the lot. I have this bloke, Grace Patrick, that...
Who is this person?
Whoever he is.
They're just
wild. Needs to be told that you can't
make transfers. It could be a she. Let's not just say he. It could be a she.
It could be. Just have a look at his transfers. So he actually scored 40 points, but he made 8 transfers, which took him down 28 points to 12.
I think this is somebody's mum.
Like, honestly,
maybe it's somebody's pet.
Look at the week before.
Maybe it's somebody's pet cat. I shouldn't mug them off because I might meet them at some point. I apologise, Grace, whoever you are.
The week before, he made 15 trades for minus 52 points. And he obviously...
Look, it's going to be somebody's child, isn't it? It's going to be somebody's son or daughter. Come on. Okay, look. Do you know what, Grace? Look, you're doing really well. I hope you're enjoying the game. Ignore me and Darius. You just keep doing you, all right? You just keep doing you.
All right, so look, that brings us to the end of this episode. Other than the fact we are just going to have a very quick look at the fixtures coming up now. The fixtures you should be targeting this week are the Aston Villa against Ipswich one, the Liverpool against Wolves, and then you probably want to look at Arsenal against Leicester and Man City against Newcastle. All the other ones are a bit up in the air, but I think those ones are where you want to be targeting your players this week.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. All right, guys. So make sure, if you haven't already, like that button on the stream and give us a follow. And if you haven't subscribed, you know what to do. Press the subscribe button now. Thanks for joining us. Alan, any plans this weekend?
Do you know what? I don't really have any exciting plans this weekend, but I would like to say that I went to the Batman exhibition in London on Monday, and it was absolutely fantastic. So if anyone's in London, get yourself some tickets. They've extended the dates. You can see all the Batman memorabilia from all the films. My favourite was the 1989 Batman with Michael Keaton. And then I went to see Interstellar at IMAX in Waterloo, which they are also run out of tickets for. It's going to finish next week. But if you love Interstellar, you want to see it on the big screen, go and see it. It was incredible.
Matt, that actually sounds really good. Now, this weekend, I'm actually off to Perth and I'm going to listen out, and I'm going there to see one person in particular, John Summit, who I've been unable to find at any UK festival when I lived there for 3 years. He's coming to Perth, so I'm very excited about it. I'm going to go and see him, so I'll be quite lit on Saturday. And then I'm going to be watching the Tottenham and Man United game with my mates in Perth on Sunday night. So hopefully Man United can get a win. Otherwise, we're going to do a live stream afterwards, and it's going to be a pretty scathing assessment on on the team. So hopefully they can deliver. Next week, Alan, I've got a treat for you. The boys are coming up to Cal Cup. We're going to do, hopefully our video will do maybe Friday next week. Got to check with Alan and his dates next week. But they're all going to be here, Tom, Darren, and me, all in the one room, hopefully with Alan joining us. So that's the show for next week. So it will be out a little bit later than normal. But make sure you do join us. Thanks for watching. That's bye from me.
All right, see you later, guys. Bye.
Catches.